All right. So, welcome back to another episode of On a Brooklyn Tip with my special guest, Leo Legend, back again.
How we
The
doing? How
first
we doing? How we doing?
the first time, y'all, we had some technical difficulties. So, I'm very, very grateful and glad that he's back with us again um to do this interview. Um and yeah, we just gonna do what we do.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for this one. I was mad about the technical difficulties on the last one because we had such a good conversation. So I'm definitely excited to be back, chop it up with you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so put my phone on vibrate so nobody interrupts. And we are going to get started. So I know the last time like you said, the last time we had a really dope conversation. But since then you have been making moves. I believe you had some performances. I believe you've been working on music if I'm not mistaken. So I
Yeah.
definitely have some questions about that. But before we get straight into that area, I do want to start off with your creative process and your artistry.
Okay.
And just letting our viewers know like who is Leo Legend. Um, and what first pulled you into music and when did you realize it was more than a hobby for you?
Yeah, I think music started really in if I go all the way back, it started in kindergarten. My sister was in chorus and they had this performance where I had to be at practice with her anyway. So when they chose like the kindergartners that could be a part of it or whatever, I ended up being selected. And from there, just like watching my sister be in chorus, that's kind of like the only extracurricular thing, like as far as after school activities that I knew. So when I went to high school, really when I started in middle school too, we had a chorus program and I participated in that. In high school, I kind of took it more serious. But I mean, my thing with writing music was always I started with poetry. So a lot of times I was writing like poems, just trying to, find ways to get comfortable with creative writing. And then that kind of turned into because I was singing with the church choir. So, I have a big church background. I grew up in the church. So being in choirs and just kind of finding my own lane in songwriting, I started to write songs, but I didn't really have the equipment to be able to take it seriously. So when I moved to Greensboro, probably about like it's got to be maybe like 4 years ago now, I got with Genius McFly, a producer that's out of North Carolina as well. And it was just a happenstance, like studio session. Then we kind of like I brought a YouTube beat and he was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna rebuild this song or whatever because you could be taking it seriously." So from that moment, when I started getting access to the resources, I just kind of picked it up from there and just kept building on it.
Mhm. Okay, all right, respect it.
Yeah,
So when you sit down to create, right,
yeah.
what does your process look like? Is it like pen and paper? Is it voice notes? Is it something spiritual? Like, how do you get your thoughts onto
Yeah,
the?
it usually starts with me with like the lyrics. I'm really big on like my music having a message or like, either telling a story or portraying a subject matter that I want to get across. So usually like it starts with the lyrics. I might be writing something, writing on a concept. And then as the beat, like as I hear a beat that kind of matches the mood of what I've written, it makes it kind of more seamless to match like the production with the lyrics. So one thing that I'm really good at is taking like lyrics that don't necessarily have a home beat on it and being able to like find my cadences and portray my cadences through the emotion of like the beat that I'm feeling. So like that's kind of how I match the words with the beat, but it always starts with the lyrics because I feel like it starts with the story and then you build around the story.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah.
So when you write, do you write from a personal experience, imagination? Um, is it a mix of both?
Yeah. Definitely a mix of both. I think I always explain it as like I write from perspectives. So, a lot of what Leo Legend is like, it's tied to my zodiac. And one thing that you'll get from like discussing zodiacs and stuff like that is that people take personalities, people take traits, and they kind of make assumptions based off of it, or they'll make their own understandings based off of it. So my music is just kind of like about perspectives. Like I'm empathetic to certain situations. So certain situations I've been through, certain situations I've witnessed, certain situations I've heard about. And it's just being able to take those situations in and provide different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a mix of things that I've been through, things that people around me have been through, and just being able to portray that in a real authentic way that comes across relatable to people.
Mm. So, out of all of the songs that you've written that you may have put out or didn't release yet, um, which one of them came from a real life moment?
I really think the one that comes from a real life moment, I Love Hate Thing is a song that's kind of like close to my heart because I kind of wrote Love Hate Thing as like a upbeat. People will never know this, but Love Hate Thing is more of like a upbeat breakup track. Like I wrote that track after like a relationship where I kind of felt like music became the point of contention, so it was like the person had told me, they're like, look, you're really good at this thing. And while that's good, like I imagine you being super good at this thing. And I don't know if I could take that. I don't know if I can take what comes with that. And it's probably one of the most honest
Hmm.
conversations I've ever had. So it's like I wrote the song from that perspective where it's like, you can tell me you love me, but tell me you hate me. Tell me it in the same sentence. Like, like give me the full duality of the moment because it's really that really is the duality of relationships. Like you're gonna have moments that you love, you're gonna have moments that you hate, and they're gonna happen simultaneously at the same time. They're gonna happen congruently. So, like the balance of that and the opposite of that and just kind of the juxtaposition of those words love and hate and how they kind of go together but don't go together in the same sense. So yeah, and that was based off of like what I was actually going through. So people be like really rocking out to that song and they enjoy it, and the whole time it was like sad for me but on a happy beat.
Okay. So, staying in that lane, how do you find balance with your music and your work and balancing relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just knowing what's a purpose project for you, and everything that I'm doing with the music really is tied to what I want to do, in the community for youth engagement and for, inspiring the next generation of artists. So for me, it's like knowing that the business is very tied to like my personal legacy project. So it all goes in line with like my vision. So really when I'm considering relationships or when I'm in relationships, it's like something that I have to be dead serious about. Because if you can't see the vision, or if it's something that like you can't see yourself being able to provide some type of encouragement or support to, even if you don't understand it, but like if you can't provide me some type of peace while I'm chasing a path that most people would call insane. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so few people that actually make it on the larger levels of this music thing. So like if can't like stick with somebody that's sticking beside a crazy dream, then like I don't see it as a fault to a person, but also like that's not gonna work long term for what I need to do for my legacy project. So a lot of times it just makes me discern, relationships, whether that's friendships, romantic, whatever, about like how it affects the legacy project.
Okay. So, how do you know, like, okay, you got your theme of your song, you have your concept, you kind of have an idea of what you want to talk about, the message that you want to put out there. So how do you know when a song is done, or is it ever really done for you? Like, is there always another layer, another level that you feel
There's
you can do?
Yeah, there's so many different editions of a song too that I kind of feel like it's funny that you say that because I don't really ever feel like it's ever done, because part of a song you leave open for fan interpretation, for them to add what makes it personal to them. So like I feel like I do as much as I can to a song to where it feels like to me it's ready to be presented, where I'm ready for the fans to add what perspective and their interpretation of the music adds to the song. Like when people take a bar and they pull a whole different meaning out of it that maybe you didn't intend, but because you've pulled it out and you justified it, that's a new meaning for a bar. So it's like, you know, that's the longevity in music that you look for, that people can find new experiences in your music no matter how long it lives or how many times they've heard it. So if a song is good, it's not completely done, because the fans are going to add a different element to the song that's going to give it its own life. But I think, when you have really taking the time to make sure that, like, the business is done on the song, most importantly, but like production wise, like that you feel good about the music that you're producing, it's time to go ahead and let it go so that you don't end up holding on to it for too long, because I've been guilty of that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So just realizing that, like, it may not ever be done, but like it's not yours to keep forever.
Mm. Okay, okay. So let's talk about being vulnerable for a moment. What role does your vulnerability play in your music? And are there any lines that you came up with that were really great, really dope, and you was like, nah, I'm not gonna put that in there. I'm not gonna share that.
Nah, I think it's actually the opposite, and that's bad. Like when I have those lines that are super personal, those are lines that got to make the song. Because like when I'm portraying it, a lot of times the fans want authenticity. They want stuff that you can feel. So it's like the stuff that really feels the most personal to me. It's like that's the stuff that I gotta portray. And part of being an artist is, in a way, to do it ethically, like in a way to where you protect, if it's about a real life situation, like you protect identities, you protect, like, you allow people to be able to live their lives the way that they need to live their lives independently. But sometimes, it got to come out the way that it got to come out. So I think that, like, I just focus on making sure that I portray that I'm doing authentic things in music, so that when you hear it in the music, you're not shocked by it. You know that vulnerability is something that we share here, and that's part of the reason why you hear, because you're gonna hear something real.
Okay. Would you say that being vulnerable in your music, would you say that it's a strength or weakness sometimes?
I would say it could be either one, because vulnerability without discernment leads to demise. You know what I'm saying? In this business, you build a lot of relationships. It's a business where you have to build relationships, whether it's with DJs, radios, people, other artists, other people's, like, it's just, you got to build relationships. So it's like, being vulnerable to a sense where you make sure that you're also protecting your intellectual property. You're protecting the resources that people can take and abuse. Like, you gotta be vulnerable, but you have to have discernment to know the situations in which to be vulnerable in. So it can be either a strength if you do also have the discernment that goes with it, or if you don't have that discernment, it's a weakness, because you'll get
Okay.
ran over. That's like, music is one of those, unfortunately, music is one of those places where there's a lot of schemes where you can abuse somebody's dream and like monetize it too. Like, I can abuse it and it can be profitable for me to abuse your dream. So you have to know that, like, the business is full of that. So if you're too vulnerable, yeah, you'll get walked over in all those type of situations.
Mm. Okay. So when it comes to performing, right before, like, how do you prepare yourself mentally to get on that stage and to deliver and to do what it is that you do?
Lots of practice. I think you prepare a lot before you even hit the stage. Like, for example, I'm already working on my 2026 like production set, like what I want, what story do I want to tell when I'm on stage, what emotions do I want to portray, what songs are gonna, take you through that wave of emotions that makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster ride of a show. So it's just really about like, knowing your music enough and knowing and doing your research when you have a performance about where you're going. What type of venue am I going to? What type of people frequent that venue so that you know like what songs to go with. So it's a tactical plan. It's something that you gotta kind of go into. So mentally, I think that's what I tell myself is that I already had the plan and it becomes seamless after the first few times that you do it. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm working a plan so you don't have to hype yourself up for something that you prepared for.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So now let's talk faith and foundation. So I always ask any artist or any, you don't even have to be an artist, anybody that ever came on my show, I always ask this question: how does your faith shape your journey as an artist or as a creator, business person? So in this case, how does faith for you, how does it shape your artistry?
I think faith is a big part of artistry. And the thing about my belief with my higher power is like, it's always focused on faith in the things that like you can't see. And in a large way, you have to be able to accept that concept and really know what that belief is, like and know what it is to have that level of belief to even be able to be persistent enough to do music, because a lot of what people envision their career is when they're in the studio creating the song, when they're on the stage and there's three people in the crowd, you can't see where it's going to go. Like you don't see where it's going to end up. But like in those moments, you have to have belief in a vision that you have in your head that you're not seeing in front of your face to be able to keep going. You know what I'm saying? And that level of faith is only built by, having a relationship with a higher power where you've had to have that level of understanding in life. There's been a lot of life situations that I thought were impossible that with the help of God, like I was able to get through. You know what I'm saying? And I now have that belief. I now know in the depths of my heart that like I can't do nothing without him. So even in this process when it don't make sense to me, as long as I have that connection with him and it makes sense to us, on the days I don't feel like it, I'm willing to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to do it. And that a lot of that is faith.
So do you see your music as ministry, therapy, or something else entirely?
I think I see it as therapy. I do think that there are aspects of songs that I get into. Like if you go into my first project, there's a lot of my personal battle with identity crisis and with like, my doubts and my fears and just processing and going through that I think ends up being, ministry to people that don't see their identity or don't see, their struggles in the music they may listen to. There's a lot of prosperity music out. Like, everybody rich, everybody
Mm.
everybody can, buy everything, stuff like that. There's nobody talking about, the dark battles where you're trying to figure out if you got enough to do what it is you're dreaming to do. Nobody
Mm.
talks about the internal battles where everybody perceives that you're this one thing or perceives that, you'd have made it because they've seen you on a couple of different video clips or something like that. And they don't know that like personally, you're struggling just as bad as everybody else. So it's like, just it's always a balance. It's always the balance, a balance of perspective.
Mm. That's good. That's good. I
Yeah.
like that response. You know, even with myself, that was something that I've stated in prior episodes as it relates to mental health. How oftentimes people see the glitz and glamour of it all, but they don't see the tears. They don't see the
Yeah.
sleepless nights. They don't see those situations where you're doubting yourself, where you feel like you can't go, or you're having that moment where you don't want to show up. As a matter of fact, I recently did a story on Instagram and I was like, the hardest part is showing up because
Yeah.
that was that moment that I was in where I'm like, you know what, this is overwhelming. I don't want to show up. I don't want to do this anymore. I need a
Yeah.
moment. So the fact that you have music that can relate to everyday struggles that people don't always talk about. I think that's really dope because, as you said, there's a lot of music out here where everyone is prospering, everyone is rich, everyone got bands and cars and houses and all of these wealthy things, but no one is really being honest about, you know, the struggles of even
Yeah.
getting, achieving all of these things that we're talking about. So I like the fact that you are true to yourself as an artist and you're honest because we need that, you know?
Yeah.
So have you ever felt tension between your spiritual convictions and the music industry's expectations, and how do you navigate that as an artist?
Yeah, it don't happen so much in music. It's just there's in being in music and realizing that like this is also an industry that has like people who will whole life play characters full time because that's their thing, and you have to let that be their thing. I think at first when I came in, I used to expect just everybody to be as genuine with me as I was being with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when it didn't happen, I would have where I know that where it should be easy to let it go and stuff like that. Like, I would fall into the trap of like, why are you being weird? You know what I'm saying? Then it turned into a moment like, and social media is a thing. Social media is a thing, like, you know, and then you're in a social media moment where you're really just trying to get understanding. And sometimes you find out like it's not about that. Like, you know, in this music thing or with the caricature of it all, like it's not even about understanding. So I think sometimes like for me, I have to balance my expectation, you know, the expectation that my relationship with my spirituality has. Like, there's certain things that I don't care if it got me a million views, it's just off limits. There's certain things I wouldn't do to certain people, no matter no matter where it would get me or what notoriety would get me. There's just certain things that are off limits for me, and I learned more that like
Mhm.
that's not a thing for everybody. So it's learning how to balance that, be okay with it, and then still keep your spirituality in the sake of all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not change with the environments around you. And if I'm transparent, that's probably what I struggle with the most, is the balance between just making sure like I don't let what the environment I'm in change my morals, change my rules, change how I deal with things.
Okay, alrighty. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit and we're gonna dive into your roots.
Okay.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about your Chicago roots
Okay.
and your Durham roots.
Okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You were born in Chicago, correct?
Yes, born in Chicago. I didn't stay too long. Didn't stay too
Mhm.
long. We instantly came to North Carolina before I was like 5. Like, it was even before I was 5. We were by that time we were already in North Carolina. So but we started off in like the Cary area. It was like Cary type area.
Mhm.
I was out there for a while, and then I moved to Durham, and I stayed there like towards the end of elementary school all the way up until like now. My family still got roots in Durham and stuff like that. So Durham is really home. Durham is home. Chicago is where I was born though. Yeah.
Okay. So
See,
how
I,
do
I I
these two
forgot from the
cities?
first interview. You do your homework like that. Like, that's crazy. Like, nobody just comes off rip and tells me about Chicago. That's wild.
I mean, yeah. As I gotta do, I have to. That's good interview when you do
Yeah.
your research on the person that you're interviewing, you
Yeah.
know, and how I'm able to come up, with the different questions. Because when you do research, it makes the person that you're researching even more interesting. Where
Yeah.
you wanna study them, you wanna observe them, you wanna know more about them. You feel me?
Yeah.
So no shade to those who do interviews but don't do research. There's no shade. It's just how I do. This is how I
That
do
was
it.
the shadiest no shade I think I've ever been a part of.
I'm just saying because people tend to get offended sometimes, but honestly, it's really no shade. It's just that's just how
Yeah.
I operate, you know.
Yeah.
But how do those two cities show up in your sound and in your storytelling?
I think Chicago, like a lot of times when I get like referred to people or like or people reference me to somebody else, I get a lot of Chicago names. And I think what I've learned about Chicago lyricists is there's a certain swagger, like there's a certain confidence in the spitting styles, and I think that's what people kind of pick up from where I'm born. And then Durham, I think Durham just is just the hard work of it all. Durham is a very like work hard place, so like the work ethic and just being able to produce at a volume and never being satisfied. I think those are very much Durham qualities. Because that's the city I'm from. Like you could think that you got the freshest outfit on and somebody's gonna be like, that won't it. You know what I'm saying? Try again. Like it's just never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. So I think a lot of that comes out. Um Durham likes lyricists. Durham always like the generation of rappers that I came up, like the rappers that were in high school when I was in middle school were all lyricists. The rappers when I was in when I went to college and came back home, all of the people that were older than me when I was in high school, the upperclassmen, they were rappers, and we saw what they were able to do with it. When they were throwing events around the city and stuff like that. So just kind of the pathway that they set has a lot to do with how I move around and how I operate now, and just kind of the level of standard of quality I hold myself to.
Okay. Okay. So, what's something each city taught you about life, about hustle, and about art?
Mm. Um, I think Chicago taught me that it really doesn't matter your origin, like where you start. It really is about the story that you're willing to build. Um, because like I said, I didn't stay too long, so like I feel like the fact that and that like where you're born, like your life experiences matter from the moment that like you enter this world, because it's so crazy. I spent so little time in Chicago, but like as I'm doing music, I still people still feel that Chicago flavor when I'm presenting my music or whatever, like to the point where even when I'm in North Carolina, people identify me as having an accent, and I've never really understood it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, because I've been here most of my life. So um, it just, I don't know, it finds way like where you're from is going to find ways to poke through no matter what you do. I think that's what Chicago taught me. Durham taught me about art, that art is so vast and there's so many different demographics that you got to make something that's relatable across different life experiences. So Durham taught me how to be versatile. Durham taught me how to be able to recreate yourself in different environments and be able to find your identity in different environments, even when you have differences with people. And I think that helps me work rooms. That helps me like be an artist that other artists want to work with. So like I always appreciate my city for that.
Okay. So, if you had to compare your music to a skyline, right? Would it look more like the Sears Tower or the Bull City skyline? Like, how would you describe Leo Legend's music as a skyline?
Oh, it's the Bull City skyline. It's the Bull. It's downtown Durham, sunset on an August night. You know what I'm saying? You could be walking downtown, but if you just took the skyline to Durham on an evening in August, I feel like that's the vibe. Like I'm always trying to present a vibe, and in my mind, that's the skyline I see. You know what I'm saying? Just top down, riding through the city that way. You know what I'm saying? With a view of the skyline.
Copy. Okay. All right. I feel that. I feel that. All right. So let's talk indie scene and culture.
Okay.
What's your take on the indie scene right now, both in North Carolina and nationally?
I think the indie scene in North Carolina is extremely talented. I think my issue with the indie scene in North Carolina is that we're going elsewhere. We're going in other demographics and areas looking for something that they're coming here to find. Um, and I think that we don't do enough job of highlighting what happens in the independent scene in North Carolina enough, because North Carolina has made itself a market that now you can come and find set lists full of, I'm talking about talent, like across different demographics. If you're looking for the trap demographic, like if you're looking for the lyrical scene, like there's different groupings in North Carolina now to where we have our own environment that I think that we then go and we search for elsewhere instead of making them come here and invest in what they come and poach from anyway. So I feel like the North Carolina scene is kind of in a better place, because I feel like some of the OGs of the scene are starting to educate artists even as they're beginning, that like what they're about to go out and search for is already here where they're at. And that understanding that you're in music as soon as you release a song, as soon as you got a song scheduled to be released on a digital platform, or even now YouTube or SoundCloud, with the way that people have been able to leverage deals off of that, you're already in the industry. So I think that's the one thing that I try to portray to the independent scene in North Carolina, and I want us to get holistically, is that we got and we all we need for real. And if we could find a way to band together instead of try to crab in a barrel ourselves in opportunities outside of the city, like we'll snake ourselves within the city to go somewhere else and do something that we could have just collaborated in the city and did right here at home. And that's across North Carolina. So I just think that we got to band together. We got to band together better.
Okay. So keeping in that lane, do you feel like indie artists are finally getting the recognition they deserve, or is there still work to do? And that's just overall.
Yeah, there's still work to do. I think visibility is everything. So being able to find ways to showcase the talent locally and be able to find ways to do it that's not like raping the artist's pockets, that's not like going crazy, that's not going crazy in the pricing to where like it feels like you have to start with $20,000 to even get looked at. I think finding ways to do, yeah, like I think finding ways to do that kind of would help with it. But I think also just like people wanting to network, not being afraid to network, realizing there's enough opportunities out here for everybody, that we don't have to fight each other for what's out here. Like there's so many tables that could be created, and there's enough food out here to feed them all. So why don't we just like collect the tables and then have one big meal? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, but
That sounds that,
hard concept, hard concept.
I respect it. I respect it. So how do you as a as an individual in this scene, how do you stay grounded and authentic in a space that often pushes trends over truth?
I think I started unorthodox, so it's kind of easy for me to like not fit into the trends, because I kind of started doing something different than what was popular anyway, and I just stuck with it. So like that's why I always preach to artists, like a table that you created, you can't be told you don't belong at. Um, so I don't have to worry about the trends, because the brand that I built on the authenticity of me. So if I switch up, it diminishes the brand, because I presented myself. And that's kind of why I did. Um, because I felt like if you would buy into this for free, at the point where you say it's valued at $1 million, it's not something that's going to be hard for me to reproduce, because it's my everyday life. It's my everyday mentality. You're gonna get the same person. So like I could never really fit into trends. I was never a person that could fit into trends anyway. I was always behind the clothes trends. Like I would get it 6 months after it was popular, and they'd be like, "Why are you wearing that?" So like I just kind of leaned into that. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do my own thing now because like I can't keep up with trends anyway because they're momentary. I want the things that give me longevity. You know, classic music, classic moments, the things that people are gonna remember after a while because it doesn't feel so like lightning in a bottle at that point.
Okay, that's good. I think a lot of young people need to hear what you just said as it relates to following trends and keeping up with the Joneses because, like you said, trends are momentarily they change so fast.
Yeah,
Like again, just the other day, I was on my way out with my daughter, and we're on our way to the train station, and I see this long line now. Right now in Brooklyn, it is like 30 some degrees outside. Like it is frozen. We just had snow and everything, and they're standing outside for some Jordans that are
yeah,
going to end up right back out within another another couple of months or so, another year or
yeah.
so.
And if y'all get
They
any more snow, you can't even wear them. You won't even wear them for $3.
right. It's just it's so mind boggling to me the things that people tend to follow. So
Yeah,
that's very honorable of you to have that mindset of just I'm gonna just do my own thing.
yeah,
I'm gonna make my own trend. I'm gonna start my own trend. I'm gonna be the trend. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think that's very honorable. Um, so what advice would you give to an up and coming artist trying to build without compromising their message?
It's gonna sound. I guess I'll find a different way to say it. You establish your value, and then you make people honor that value. So you don't let nobody tell you what you're worth. You don't let nobody tell you what your brand is or um, what they feel like your vision or your mission is. You come with all that stuff established, and you don't start certain conversations until you know the answers to those questions. Because if you don't know the answers to those questions, those are the questions that are going to be answered for you. And that's what's going to make it hard down the road. You know what I'm saying? That's part of keeping the business together is what product am I giving out to people? What am I telling people that I can do on a consistent basis? Like what product am I telling people to invest in? And a lot of time, if you don't have a vision or a mission for what that product is, that product will be made for you and you'll just be a product of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's harder to portray. And those are the people that come across as characters because there's not enough of you in what was built.
I like what you said. I was going to tell you to repeat that again. You said that they should figure out what their value is and make
Yeah, your
people
value, you establish your value. You establish your value and then you make people honor that value. You know what I'm saying? You don't let people tell you what your value is. You don't let people tell you what your image or your brand is or what it is that you're presenting. And I think that's a message that I wish somebody would have told me starting out is that like you're gonna present, you're gonna start presenting people your art. You're gonna start presenting people your art, and when you present them your art, you're gonna ask them, what is this worth? You know what I'm saying? What do you think about this? What do you like? What is your opinion? And from that moment, like from the moment that you start that, you put yourself at the mercy of other people's opinion against your vision. So your vision becomes clouded by like what everybody else thinks about what your art is you're presenting. So you got to be certain in what it is your art means to you, what the value of your art is to you. Because at that point, when you've established that price, you'll never be talked out of like giving your art for less than what you feel like it's worth. But if you don't know the answer to that question before you go into a conversation, that value is established for you. And once you let them establish your value, it's super hard to then raise the price yourself because you didn't set the price. You didn't set it. It was set for you.
right. Hmm.
You know, I had to this year alone, like I had to set a price that, you know, I felt like after the last 2 year run that I've been on, I feel like with the resume, the EPK, I have the things to build up. I've done the research to say that, like, I have accumulated this much value. This is valued at this. If I come and show up at your venue, it is valued at this. You know what I'm saying? So at that point, it made conversations a lot easier because I'm like, if you're not willing to do that, then I can just say no. Because at that point, I've established my value, and all I can do is stand on the value I established. That doesn't mean I can make people pay that value. I can't make people see that value. I can't make people accept that value. But because I set my value, nobody can set it for me at this point. And I'm good with that security of knowing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? That feels good to me. No matter how, if I get 4 people in a year that see that value, respect that value, and pay that value. I've told my team the entire time, like, all we need is one. All we need is one person to say, hey, we see what you said you're valued at. We respect that value. We're going to pay that. And from there, I'm not arguing with nobody else. You know what I'm saying? I had that one person this year. Now there's a piece of knowing, like, I can further that discernment of knowing what I need to be a part of, what I don't.
Okay.
So yeah, know your value, artist. Know your value and stand on it.
Absolutely. That's a PSA for everyone. Know your value. Absolutely. Don't lowball yourself, guys. Like, for real. Don't do that.
Yeah.
If you could build your own indie dream tour, right? Okay. Who's on the lineup, and what cities are you hitting first?
Okay, you said if I can build my own indie tour, who's on the tour and what cities are we hitting first? Okay. So first we're gonna start off with Jimmy Neutron. He's an artist on the team, SDMG. He gotta be with me. My boy Snap Prone. We're gonna hit him with the R&B vibes, give him Jada Weirdo. Chelsea Simone. Gotta get my boy Snap Prone. I don't know if I said Snap yet, but I think, yeah, gotta have Snap. Juan Carlos. So I got a lot of names. I got a lot of names. When we do different cities, I'm gonna have to switch people out and add certain names, because I have that many people that gotta be a part. But the cities that I would want to hit, I always say one of my favorite prayers in the Bible is the best prayer, and they say charity starts at home. So even if it is a tour, we starting in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going all over North Carolina, and just showcasing to the state what they have right here. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important for me for there to be a lot of North Carolina artists on it, because we have the product. We have the product, and I just want to show the world the value of that product.
Absolutely, but you got to stop over here in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, we going to New York now. We going to New York. We go up first, then going back down. You going to New York? We going to New York.
Absolutely.
I gotta get my lamb over rice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have tried every halal place in North Carolina, and it just don't got that New York seasoning. I think it's like they sprinkle some of the cement in there or something. Like, I just need that lamb over rice from the deli, like right from the deli though. Need it. Yeah. I need it. So we going.
You know what's funny? Because I felt like how you feel about halal food in New York.
Yeah.
Anytime I go down south to North Carolina to visit my family, I feel the same way. Like, right now they're trying to build Bojangles out here, and I'm like, it's not going to be the same. It's just it's just something about just going down south. Like, the food tastes better, the customer service is better. Like, when me and my mom went down south to visit my uncle, and we had ordered, right? Now, Wendy's down south is still using like the original cups and stuff. Yeah. Like, you know what? They got the sauce, because Wendy's up here don't taste nothing like Wendy's down there. Like, since Wendy's up here switched to the clear plastic cups and stuff, they lost the flavor of the food. Like,
you've learned not to appreciate the dirt, because the way that you feel about that Chinese food is not the same here as it is in New York. Like, you tell them to split the wings down here and put a sauce all over the wings, and they're looking at you like, where do you think you're at? I'm like, but like, if I go to a takeout, I'm gonna get treated right. They'll split the wings. They'll put the sauce all over the wings and the fries, all over everything. Like you can order different. Put salt and pepper on the fries. You get Chinese food down here. They'll tell you they don't got salt and pepper. How you don't got salt and pepper back there? Like
No barbecue sauce
see,
or ketchup?
that's
What?
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't appreciate the dirt no more. I went to a place right in New York. It was 24 hours. I could get oxtails and Chinese lo mein at the same spot. And you don't appreciate we can't do that here. There's no place here where you could do that.
Hold up. Where did you order that from?
It was like a 24-hour Chinese spot. It was in we were in Brooklyn. We were over in we were in Bed-Stuy. It was a spot in Bed-Stuy, 24-hour spot. And they got like the little, it's like a cafeteria style where they got the little bin set up. One bin had oxtail, one had like boneless spare ribs. They had lo mein, rice and peas. Like, where am I at?
Place.
Yeah,
I got a 4 hour spot. I ain't never heard of like unless it was like a Chinese buffet where they do stuff like that. Now our Chinese buffets, they do have a variety of different food and stuff. You said 24 hours? I gotta find them. Because
It
I
was
love
24
oxtail.
hours. It was 24 hours now. Now the thing was, after like a certain time, they only take cash. They only took cash. I was like, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on there. I couldn't use my card, so I had to go like find the ATM and do all that. But like, yeah, that food was amazing. Now, if the Chinese restaurants there have oxtails, I just don't understand how y'all don't appreciate that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I'm just a big bag.
Well, you know what they say. You don't miss something until it's gone. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But to your point, we
So
going to Brooklyn. We going to Brooklyn because I want to eat. So if I got a rap to eat, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll do that. I've never been ashamed to rap to eat.
okay. So you're going to rap to eat.
Yep.
Listen, when you down here, just let me know so that I can come say hi in person.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah. You got to come
out
out.
here.
You said say hi in person. You got to come to the show. We're gonna have you on stage. You're gonna have to rap a verse or something. We're gonna have the on the Brooklyn Tip freestyle live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so you know what? You know what? It's about that time. Since we're talking about rapping, right? It's
Okay.
about that time.
Okay.
So I remember when we were talking before and you said something so powerful and it sticks with me that now every time I hear different individuals talk about how they rap and they do this, but they don't really do what they say that they do. Like your voice always pops up in my head. And so now I start going around telling people, like, if you say that you rap, then rap. Like,
Then
make these
rap.
rappers.
Then
You
rap.
got,
Be ready to do that.
you know? So, yeah.
Oh, we want some bars. We want some. Are we doing some bars?
I'm just saying because I got that from you. So, you got to do what you say you do. And you
All
say
right.
you rap.
You ready?
So, you got to.
Here we go. Interpret the hieroglyphics written in all the pictures. The lions on the rise, predicted by the Egyptians. Mortal Kombat combos, the way I kick it. I'm never terrified of the wave because I build bridges. I take smooth beats, I cut it like making ridges. I'm the best, period. End of the sentence, yeah. Keyed in, escalated, you elevate me. Mirror that aggression you feeling, just know you ain't me. I'm not with the theatrics, don't play with the God because the team move like Mongols when gang is with Con Ed. You ain't get the reference, but the gang's still involved. I smile, but never laugh. I don't joke with the sauce. I fell in love with the payments. Life is a hoe, but she paid me. Dreaming of making it daily. I'm about to blow that on baby. Need a Rose and Mercedes. I need the cash in the basement. I need the cash I've been saving. Yeah. Look, I've been slaving for Lincoln's, emancipating my demons. I let it spray for no reason. I'm AK for a reason, dripping through all of the seasons. I spring the summer rain, never fall through the winter. The flood gonna stay the same. Look, heard the game was cold. I'm in the stew with a hoodie on. My bully strong, baby like my flow, so she sing along. That purple blowing strong, pipe her down like a marathon. Her hubby hit her phone, use emojis, tell him carry on. Dominoes, got it out the yard. I'm collecting bones, and if she dark, then I stuff that cookie like an Oreo. Elio got her popping out. I call her Camito. These other rappers Cuba Gooden. I ain't with the radio. Baby bro, rappers till I made myself a CEO. Heard a nigga hate and need a reason. Well, then here it go. Really got it jumping. I be feeling like I'm sharper now, and all the suits is tailored like I'm shopping at Tiana House. You know what I'm saying? If we just, because if you're a rapper, rap.
See, this is why I this whole thing because of you letting these. Hey, y'all heard it here. Y'all gotta
If you
do what y'all say
rap.
that you. So if you rap, you gotta rap. He said
Yeah,
it first.
they don't rap.
Rap.
They do a lot of talking. They do not rap.
You can't say you a rapper and don't rap. It just don't. It don't go together. It don't
It
make sense.
doesn't. You always find out like the work ethic of the rappers in the room when the cipher situations happen. Like that's probably one of the first things I was known for in the city is that like so at open mics, the way that it run is like, you might be going last on the set list or whatever, but most open mics have a cipher at the beginning. So when I first started going to the B side and they didn't know who I was, it's a shout out to the B side platform in Greensboro. But they didn't know who I was. I was coming from Durham. So I was ending up on like the bottom of set list. So I found a trick. There was a cipher at the beginning. Like if you showed up early, they had a cipher at the beginning and nobody wanted to rap in the cipher. So I could get a whole book of freestyles off at the beginning of the event. Now, when it's time to set the set list or whatever, people are like, when are you performing? When are you performing? And it naturally started to get me like kind of moved up the list of the open mic as I was showing up week to week. So that's, I say it as a joke sometimes, like if you're a rapper, rap, but I also say that because you never know the opportunities that you'll get from just being prepared to rap at certain times. Like, especially if you're trying to get your name out there, anytime there's an opportunity with a microphone, a lot of people don't want to just grab the microphone and rap if their song's not playing in the background. So work enough on your craft that you got stuff ready for those moments because you'll be one of few and you'll be remembered. Like, that's sometimes the cipher was more memorable than my actual performance because nobody else was doing it. So, that's I say it to be funny, but I also say it as serious advice. Always be ready to rap.
Y'all, I hope y'all paying attention because bro is really dropping some serious gems. Absolutely. And that goes for anyone, whatever it is, whatever your talent is, always be prepared and never despise how you're starting. You don't know what opportunities can open up for you. Like you really spitting some lessons here, man.
Yeah, I've
For
been out here.
real.
I've been out here. So I'm all about making it easier for the next person. Like what took me 3 years, hopefully I can find the ways to figure out like the way to perfect it and make it to where what took me 3 years takes the next person a year. You know what I'm saying? Like because I cut out some of the mistakes. I've been willing to make a lot of mistakes. I've been willing to be the guinea pig to a lot of situations so that like I could at least get the understanding of it and at least be able to give the game. Like I'm willing to take the losses. So like I never over celebrate the wins because it's like, I know I got to be willing to take a loss again. You know what I'm saying? Just to learn, not just to take a loss and sit there and grovel at the loss, but take a loss and learn from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Yo, this has been a dope interview. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm glad, that we were able to do this. It was some technical difficulties, um, a little rescheduling. It's been a
Yeah.
lot, but it was all worth it. You definitely
Yeah.
can shine light on a lot of things. You was dropping some serious gems, things that can actually help people and not just in as an indie artist and in that culture, but you was dropping some like real life lessons, just things to know, as
Yeah.
you're navigating life. So I definitely respect it. Um, I'm definitely grateful that, you set aside time to come do this interview, to come chop it up with me.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
glad that we was able to reschedule for real. This is a great interview, and I be telling people all the time like they need to tap out if they need to tap in for real because this is the type of interviews that like really allow you to get stuff off. You know what I'm saying? Really let people know the inner depths of what you be thinking. And I don't always do the best job of that to my fans. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let them know the inner workings of my mind and stuff like that. So I'm trying to do it more on platforms where it feels natural. And this is definitely one of those platforms. So I definitely appreciate you for having me, for real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen, you're honorary Brooklynite. You already know what it is. Anytime you
You
come,
know what I'm saying? Lamb over rice. You know what I'm saying? At the deli, I get the aloe vera juice, you know, because you got to get the BEM. So I go aloe vera juice. I usually go pomegranate, but y'all got the flavor. So I'll go kiwi. And it'd be special because you can't find kiwi down here like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Brooklyn native now.
you know. So instead, this concludes our episode. Once again, thank you for being a guest, for coming on. Um, and kind of helping me close out this year.
Yeah.
Um, I'm grateful to, for setting aside that time. And also just want to give you space and opportunity to just share your social media handles with
Okay.
us, upcoming projects, albums, release
Yeah.
anything. Feel free to share that information. You have that space to do so.
Okay.
Um,
Instagram, you can find me at officially Leo Legend. That is officially, not official, but officially Leo Legend. You can find me on Facebook under the Leo Legend page. You can find me on all streaming platforms at Leo Legend. We have singles coming at the top of the year. I am working on the album. The album will be done. There, I can't do no dates. I can't do no dates. But I am working on the album. I am firmly in album mode. I'm trying to finish it up. So, but I do have singles coming at the top of the year. I was able to, get those off, get those finished and stuff like that. So release dates coming soon for that. It might be a Christmas gift to my fans is release dates, but we'll figure out. We'll figure out what's going on with that. But just know new singles on the way. Definitely new music coming, shows on the way, concert series happening next year. More details to come on that. So yeah, that's what's coming up next year.
right. Okay. And as for me, you guys already know you can follow me on Instagram on the Brooklyn Tip. That's on _the Brooklyn _tip. You can also follow the page on Facebook, the Brooklyn Tip, YouTube show _Nicole. And with that being said, that concludes tonight's episode. Everyone, be safe out there and peace.
All right.